PLD Projects presents Holy Snooks, the Star Wars podcast, featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. Holy Snokes Batman! Wow. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Holy Snokes on PLD Projects. I'm your host, PLD. This is with me, as always, my fellow... I don't even know what I want to call you this week. What do I call you?
Would I be your Alfred, sir?
Yeah, Alfred, sir. Either way, Matty Gunner, how are you doing, my friend?
Shout out to your son.
Yeah.
Your son is super talented because that new little animation... I'm not knocking what you did, but
It's not as good as
that you said that was like a Father's Day present, right?
Yeah. He did a bunch of little things you're going to add on to some of the other things.
You know when like you make something for your parents because you don't have the money to buy something,
Right.
and you're like, it's the thought that counts,
right?
That's genuinely like the thought counted
A lot, yeah.
The thought counted a lot.
Yeah. He had quite a few logos for me, quite little animations like that. I was very proud, very happy, very excited to see. So that'll be the new updated logo.
Lucasfilm, hire Paul's son.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that. He would love to see that too. Absolutely. So
I think you'd love to see it a little bit more, though. Let's be.
Yeah, probably. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie there.
And he still probably wouldn't give us the first interview.
No, he probably wouldn't. You're right, son of a bitch. But this week's episode is the Acolyte, of course, episode 5, Night, as we all joked about. It was going to be the title.
I thought it was going to be light. I thought it would be daylight because it was night when the episode ended. So I thought the sun would come up and they'd call it daylight.
No, they had to go right into the rest of the night. We had the rest of the night to go through first. Which, by the way, before we get into it fully, I was a little scared that we were skipping the battle. After the way that the thing began, I was like, no, we don't want to skip this battle, do we?
Okay. Yeah, I thought they were going to do a Russian doll. And do
right.
Because in Russian doll, Leslie Headland has historically done a flashback in the middle of the season.
Right.
So I thought that thought did cross my mind that we would be getting another flashback episode right now.
Right.
And I was like,
no,
damn it, dude.
We can't. don't edge us like that, for Christ's sake.
But what we did get.
I will say it was actually a positive experience looking on the old Twitter timeline this week, because I mean the haters are always going to hate, but like this week seemed like even the ones that were kind of like underwhelmed generally, or maybe not fully on board, were pretty much all on board this week's for this episode, and they were like, "Ooh, this is Star Wars. This is good shit."
I did see one, and it just reminded me that most of you nerds can't actually fight, so. It did warm my heart to remind me that I'm probably the one of the very few of Star Wars podcasters that actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to fighting.
That's fair.
So
that
very did warm my heart a little bit.
It was definitely a spoiler alert. It's a great episode. I really definitely appreciate my favorite episode of the season so far, for sure. It delivered on everything it was supposed to build up to. I still had some minor quibbles to it, and we'll get into that as we go into it.
I had a couple
in there, but overall, I don't know how you could argue this wasn't at least a very fun, very exciting, very interesting canon-wise episode as well for some little things here. Yeah, overall, it was a hell of a time. Great themes, great action.
A time was had, my friend. A time was had.
It was definitely had. Now, usually we do the episode. We actually, our new format, we do the episode first, then we'll get into any news. Don't have any time today. We have actually a very strict time schedule today. Things happen in real life. I had stuff I had to take care of, and unfortunately, get a little short. So we will catch up on the news next week. We are just going to do this episode. So without further ado, let's get into our segment, because that's how we do things on Holy Snokes. First of all, you hit that like, hit that subscribe. You join the Patreon at patreon.com/PLD Projects. You do all that stuff first, and then we go through the episode bit by bit with segments, and then we go back and catch up on everything we've missed. And the first segment we always get to on Holy Snokes is my favorite segment. Well, it was my favorite segment, but it's starting to become my least favorite segment. To be honest with you, Hondo Watch 2024.
Who wants to see Hondo's book? Talk to me.
There was a split second
There
when
was.
the mask came off. Since we're playing around with canon ages and canon lifespans.
You know what? I gotta tell you, that was the whole thing that brought me joy during the whole Kia D Mundi like travesty of tragic conversation. It meant, wait, Hondo Onaka could actually appear in this episode.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
You're telling me there's a chance. That's right. Canon, we're pirates. We don't even know what that means. Unfortunately.
Wait, pirates don't know what cannons means?
They know that kind of cannon. They don't know the other kind of cannon. That's the thing. He starts shooting cannons. That's what he's going to start doing. But that is our opening segment. Is did Hondo Onaka, our patron saint of Holy Snokes, make his first appearance in the Acolyte, make his return to Star Wars television? And the answer, my friends,
this effort is no longer profitable.
No Hondo, no John Doe, Hondo's grandpappy.
No Jane Doe.
No Jane Doe. We're shut out of Does at this point, unfortunately. We're Doe-less, as it were. But
which is why you need to subscribe to the Patreon. So
that's right.
We're not as Doe-less.
There you go. Nice turn of phrase there. All right, that's the opening. I want to get that out of the way, because that's unfortunately the way it is. I don't expect to see Hondo in the Acolyte. I really never did, and so I'm not too distraught.
I'm surprised we haven't got a bot comment yet about how we're pushing false information that Hondo's going to be in the Acolyte, and that we're butchering canon by wanting Hondo in the Acolyte.
That would be it. I would just to fuck with those people, I'd say put Hondo in now. But it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
What do you mean just to fuck with people? We want him in there.
That's true. That's true too. I mean, just in addition to us wanting us in there, then that would also be a good way to do it, as it were. But all right. Let's get out of Hondo Watch. We're done with Hondo Watch. Let's move into the rest of the episode. First segment for the rest of the episode: Acolyte of the Week.
But an acolyte kills the dream.
Quite simply, our favorite character of the week. Could be anybody involved. And Matty, I'll leave it to you first.
It is with a heavy heart that I give mine to Jackie.
All right, Jackie and Yord. But go ahead, go talk about and of course, R.I.P. to all the red-shirted nameless Jedi we also didn't get to know.
Yeah, I guess them too. Jackie was a character that I was really starting to get invested in. Really starting to really buy into her character arc. I know a lot of people are saying that they didn't get a lot of time with her. It just shows how little attention people have been paying to the overall story as opposed to the mystery in itself. Like, a lot of people haven't been paying attention to the character arcs like Jackie's and like yours, because I tell you, it's not just me that it hit hard. Go watch Alex and Molly's reaction to it. Alex, the damn near like I would, like the rest of us, like I was sitting there with my mouth like just gaping open, like what the hell? And then just the fact that she's a child,
right?
And you have Darth, Smiler Ren saying, "Is that what it was called?" It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right. I
thought you were cool at first, but now fuck you. Because she was like, she exhumed that whole the Yoda quote of truly wonderful the mind of a child is. Like, she was that youthful exuberance that she had, and she had more wisdom than knowledge. She had more wisdom than Yord did. Like, Yord was very like by the book, but Jackie was open to other people's worldviews and other people's interpretations of things. And it was just that youthful exuberance, and it was just really wonderful to see a character like that. Like a really positive example of the Jedi in a show where we're essentially taking a look under the hood of the Jedi. And just
Absolutely. No,
on.
absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, Jackie, her death was very surprising, as was yours. It was kind of surprising that everything happened all at once. I mean, it had to happen to a degree. It had to happen to a degree, but I agree. Jackie was a plucky young character that was actually kind of like very Ahsoka-like in a way. In terms of she's just a child of war, but a very positive bearing child, a little snippy here and there, and you know, you think that she's going to do right, and that's what happens in war sometimes. That's what happens as a Jedi sometimes, and you don't think about the children that they bring into war. And here it is. Like, I mean, Smaller into the best. You brought her here. You brought her to this issue where this Dark Lord, where I am, or where this problem was going to be. What did you expect? You're going to put a child in a situation. What do you expect?
Especially because she's never had to deal with war, right? They say it in the first, in the first crawl of the show, like there hasn't been war for hundreds of years, and like she, you know, she may have trained her entire life for something like this, but she would never have imagined actually having to face something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite frankly, she gave a hell of an episode to go out on. She had a great fight with Bay, wonderful like choreography there, going back and forth with her. She put up a hell of a fight against a very powerful dark sider. I'm not going to call him a Sith yet, by the way. We'll get to that. I'm not going to call him a Sith yet, but very
I got a heavy X-23 vibe from her, like that screaming. Like I felt like she was X-23 in that moment, just going the primal rage, and I was just like, yeah. And of course, we know that back then the High Republic were a little bit more lax on fighting with emotion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. She was very much, and it's what Leslie wanted. Leslie wanted X-23 lightsaber. That's why she cast Daphne Key in the first place, and she got it. And she got it. But her death was definitely a very powerful one. It led to a lot of different things. We'll get into that more when we get into the mission briefing, I believe. But before we get all into that, we'll talk about my Acolyte of the week, my favorite character of the week, the one you would love to hate. Now, at this point, Smiler Ren took it for me. I questioned Meta Jacinto's performances last week a little bit. I kind of didn't like a lot of things he did. I said, this week I'm saying, Manny, I'm sorry. I did not know your game. He really brought a lot to this role, and he really turned the Sith part on, the dark side on. He brought his guns to the lightsaber fight, as they were, and I mean, he was powerful. He was everything you'd want a dark sider and an enemy to be. He was like sexy. He was like powerful. He was cat-like. His moves. He put up some great lightsaber duels. He had some great mind effery moments, like everything you would want from a bad guy. You got this week. He jumped up in my bad guy list a whole hell of a lot because he was just mesmerizing to watch, and you want to know more about him and where he came from and what he wants. I can't even go into depth, but I just every time I watched him, I was quiet. I just wanted to hear what he was going to say. I just wanted to see how he was going to move, and it was all intensely. That's the best word for it. Intensity.
Very. He even he turned it on, and it was still kind of similar. That he wasn't bumbling as such, but he was like snake-like.
Yes.
Very sly and very every movement was kind of almost like a snake charmer, he was very alluring, and I'm not just talking about his arms, but best believe I am going to talk about those sweet arms. Molly Damon put out the tweet of today where she tweeted the Star Wars account saying, "We need an updated version of Manny Jacinto reads thirst tweets." I've got 3 in my draft ready to go.
Absolutely, and we are 2 heterosexual males, and that's how much expected of us. I'll tell you that much. Wow.
He even when the first reveal when he took the mask off and he was just like, "Oh, hello," he put the voice back on
to May. That was the best part. Yeah, I loved that part. Loved that so much.
It's the whole time he was like a snake. He was just toying with you,
right?
And he was just like, "You don't know when it's going to come out." And then when he did strike, when he did go, man, some of his moves, I was just like, I'm in awe.
He was almost like a evil version of Apollo Creed. like dancing around with Rocky, like just
Yeah.
so confident, like just keep moving around. Oh, you better watch out now. You're gonna want you don't want this. You don't want this. Like yeah, say it quite like that, but he had those intensity where he just got inside your head and like, but those snake like movements where he just kept moving like that distraction in a way. It was very powerful for sure. I mean, he took on what 9 Jedi, whatever. Wow, I don't know how many
9 Jedi.
yeah. Oh yeah. And all of them gone now except for Soul. Wow. Not what I expected. That's one way to keep a secret. Everybody's like, well, the Sith are out there now. How are they going to keep that light? Well, that's how you keep it a secret. That's how you kill
That is how
everybody
you
off.
keep it a secret. But also, Palpatine was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no idea.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, but there was the one, even like with his movements, like, and I'll talk more about like all the fight and shit later on, but like when he knew he had to step it up, like when he was like face to face with Yord, when it was him and Sol, and then Jackie joined in, he was like, okay, right, I can't keep fucking playing around. I have to like step it up now. He was constantly with them over. It was like we talk about great fights being in film and TV being like great dances. He was the perfect dance partner,
right?
Because he had a move for everything.
Everything. He was a balance. Yeah, left and right. He was never shook. He would be doing one thing, be able to block on another. My God, I loved when he killed Jackie. Not love when he killed Jackie, but the idea what he does, he takes the saber apart, and there's a second one all of a sudden, and then he does the triple tap. It's like it was like that was almost like to the viewers and bitches of like Obi-Wan. So like, all right, we're gonna hit him 3 times, therefore you know he's
yeah, you know she's dead.
Oh my God! All right. We get the segment's supposed to be brief before we get to the real expanded part. So let's move on to our next segment. We'll get to it. This is I Spec.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
All right, this is our favorite line of dialogue for the week, and I almost went with the one at the end that he says to Osha, but I'm going to go actually with the one you've already mentioned. I loved it when he said, "Was that its name?" Such disrespect. Such disrespect.
It made me angry. Like
he just was,
God damn, I fucking love him, dude.
Barry Collin. Oh, how's that its name? That line was just perfectly delivered, perfectly said, and it was the perfect line to say at that moment. Just amped it up, and because you could easily have said, "Oh, what was that her name?" Like, like I didn't care, but like its name, not even worth my time, not even a creature worth exploring. Like, whatever. So great, perfect. It defined him for me this week, honestly. Good for him. How about you? What was your favorite line of dialogue this week?
I can't remember how it exactly went, but it was the burn when he hit Sol. When Sol said, "What kind of master hides his face from his pupil?" And he just instantly turned around and said,
"Why don't you tell me?
Why don't you tell me?"
Yeah,
that's just like.
Ooh. He actually had similar line was later on too, because like he starts getting freaked out and like Soul was like, his mind is turned by darkness, and he's like, yeah, what do you do with your darkness? It's like, oh,
just playing with him the whole time, just talking shit the whole time, just playing with him.
Like he is not scared at all. He is just like, whatever, I'll take anything you have to offer, and I'll turn things against you.
And as someone who has had that done to them and has done that during a physical confrontation, that shit will throw you off. That will put you off your game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw how it affected Sol. Like it, just those tiny, like those little jabby lines of dialogue had Sol completely switch from
off his game.
Completely nice, humble Jedi to snapped, like lost. I thought he was gonna kill him.
Yeah, I thought so too. He almost did. If it wasn't for Osha calling his name, he was going to. He was going to at that point. Although maybe he would. Maybe I think Spyler Ren might have still been able to find a way out of it. I don't know, because he seems to escape a lot of problems whenever he needs to. So I don't know, but all right, let's get into our next segment. There, put that in your holocron and snoke it.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Where we explore more lore that was introduced into the episode somewhere along the lines. Matty, what did you want to get a little deeper in?
You know what I want to get deeper in? Who taught this motherfucker to fight like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. There is that question about, well, who is he? Is he the master? Is he the apprentice? Where did he come from? We don't really know. Was he trained by a Jedi? Was he trained by a Sith?
He didn't fight like one.
Which no, he didn't fight like a Jedi.
He didn't fight like a Jedi. He didn't fight like any Sith that I've ever seen in video games or videos or anything. That was completely new.
Was he trained by a witch? I don't know. Interesting stuff.
Possible.
I agree. That's definitely one of the things we do because we don't. It's always when you first see a dark side warrior, especially when that claims himself to be a Sith. It's like one of those situations where it's like, okay, so where else in the ball game are we? Where else are we in this world? Here's a center point. We got one below, one above, one to the side. What's going on here, everybody? What's going on here? So that's a great question. I have two bits. One is an obvious one. One is an obvious one. I'm not sure. I think we're going to get into, so I'm going to leave it off. That being, I'll just say Soul's Darkness, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I'm going to say the more lore, which is cool. I love the introduction of the reintroduction of Cortosis. Speaking of people knowing their legends.
Yes!
Knowing their legends, knowing their Star Wars lore, obviously Leslie Headland does know that and does read all that. So if you're upset about her not ignoring lore, she's not completely ignoring lore. Cortosis is a wonderful metal, soft metal, unlike Beskar being a hard metal. But what it does, as you saw, if you didn't, I think probably some people might have been confused. They just kind of put it out there like we all knew what it was in a way. But that's what it does. It can short out a lightsaber temporarily. It blocks a lightsaber and can short it out. It took me a second because I haven't read a lot of that Legends material in a long time. So all of a sudden it happened, and I was like, "What happened to the?" I said, "Oh, I thought at first he cut off the lightsaber and destroyed it." Then I saw it was just short it out, and it comes back. I'm like, "Oh!" Then it went in my head. I'm like, "Oh my god, it's Cortosis! That's freaking awesome!"
It is mentioned in canon too. There was something where Anakin and Thrawn found it, and it was being used to create battle droids and clone armor.
Right.
Cortosis to deactivate Jedi's lightsaber should it be needed.
I remember that.
And seeing that, I was like, when I first saw it, I thought, is he just like cutting the Jedi's lightsabers in half, or is he like, are they turning them off? Because when you've got a bunch of people all there, like 7 of you, you got to be really careful of the space you're in, because if you make a move and he dodges, you could end up hitting the person that you're there with. You could end up hitting someone because they're not thinking about what you're doing. You have to be really careful with managing the space around you.
Right.
So I thought, okay, they're just turning their lightsabers off because they've swung, they've missed, turn it off. But then I saw the sparks and I was like, no way.
Wow. Yeah. 100%.
Have you seen the Hasbro Lab helmet already?
Yes.
I'm buying it.
Buy that. I know. I don't collect, so I probably won't, but that does make me kind of want it. I still want it anyway.
Oh, I'm buying it.
It's good stuff though. All right. Let's go to our next one then. It's funny, sometimes our segments are the meat of our review, and sometimes it's the briefing. I think this week is going to be the briefing, so I want to get to that. But let's get to our first segment first before we get there. Seen a lot of action.
A lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Favorite action bit of the episode. Okay, this one was easy for me. I mean, there was a lot of great action, a lot of great choreography, a lot of great wire work, some of the best choreography we've seen since the prequels. I think it rivals on the prequels. I hope whoever the choreographer is, I didn't get to learn their name. I hope they are put on further Star Wars topics, because I would love to see Ahsoka have fights like this. Not that Ahsoka was bad, but this is definitely a lot. I think this is definitely a lot crisper, a lot cleaner, and a lot more engaging. And I will tell you that my favorite bit of action this week is the Sith kebab.
The what?
The Sith kebab. When Smiler Ren, he impales the one Jedi, and pulls the other Jedi onto the lightsaber like a grand old fashioned Sith kebab.
The Sith kebab.
Easily, I saw it and went, "Oh shit! Look at that! That was cool."
Sith kebab, for fuck's sake! You just turned one of the coolest moments into a complete dad joke.
What do you want from me?
No, that part was sick. That part was like, I mean, that. Oh god, dude, this. Oh, how do you pick? There's so many cool moments. I think for me, it would probably be, if I can't have the Sith kebab, there was a moment when it was Sol and Jackie versus come here. Sol kicked him back. Jackie swung at his head.
Yes.
And he ducked down underneath.
Yes.
I was like, that was slick.
That's awareness there, buddy. That's awareness.
But the thing is, I don't know if it was intentional. I think it's where Sol push kicked him. Because when you get push kicked in the stomach, you intentionally go down.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it was like him instinct or if it was like Sol kicked him and Jackie swung at the wrong moment. But
I'm going to choose to think he was awesome. That's what I'm going to choose to think.
The action shot where it was like Khmer and Yord.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like the Dylan, you son of a bitch, like the bicep. You could just see the two biceps clench, and obviously Manny Jacinto's was far better. In fact, no, I'm gonna go with the neck break.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a very good one too. Because it was unexpected.
I thought he was going to choke him.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Because the position his hands were in were for rear naked chokes. I was like, oh, is he just going to like choke him and like hold him there? And then he just went psych.
Oh shit!
The snap.
Yeah, not expected in Star Wars. I gotta tell you, that was nasty. It was cool, and like right after like Jackie's death too. So it's like, holy shit, they're really dropping like flies now. It's like
there was the shot right of Khmer's feet, and you can see Jackie's body one side of him, and Yord's the other side of him.
Yeah, it's like, man, this is
like what the hell is going on, dude?
This is sick right now. Holy crap, man, this is sick. Yeah, great action piece for sure. All right, next up, laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Our favorite comic moments of the week. I'll let you go ahead first. This one, if you have one.
I struggle to find one. I gotta be honest, I really did struggle.
Not a lot of humor,
but it was the end, the shot right near the end, as Sol and I guess now May are walking back to the ship. You had the two aliens that were there just playing sabacc.
Unaware. Blissfully
unaware. Only two have walked back of their crew.
Right.
No one else has come back, and they're just fucking around playing sabacc.
That was good. That was a good moment. For me, it's sometimes you get laughter out of darkness sometimes. And I gotta say, you actually brought it up already. It was when Smiler ran there, reveals himself, and he looks to May and does the "Oh hello" voice.
Oh yeah. For
some reason, that made me chuckle. Like it was like a nervous chuckle, I think, but it was like so good.
It was one of those moments as well where we knew the reveal was coming.
Right.
We knew who it was going to be.
Yeah.
But
we did.
And we'll talk about it, but I didn't expect what followed.
You know what?
From the reveal.
That's our next Sunday.
But I do want to give one quick one.
Okay.
Just as Khmer falls from the trees after being cut down by the moths, he starts walking away. Basil just comes on screen and picks up Pip. And I was, dude, the fear that coursed through my body, I was like, don't take Basil, dude. don't kill, please don't kill Basil.
Can I ask a dumb question? This might be me. I don't know if this is me just missing or not. Is Basil a Jedi? Or is Basil just a tracker?
He's just a tracker.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. I was supposed to he was like a Jedi. Like,
should be a Jedi.
Padawan or whatever. That was like a tracker. I wasn't sure how that worked necessarily.
Knight him immediately for making it through this shit.
Absolutely. Okay. let us get to the path then, where we talk about the rest of the episode, catch up and everything.
I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
Expanding on our segments and talking about everything else that maybe wasn't touched on in the segment. Basil, again, yes, Basil was a great moment, and I think that I agree with him being a humorous part of the episode. And obviously, he's going to be a big part going forward, I think. But I think we'll get there. I'm going to talk about really quickly a few of my quibbles to get them out of the way.
Yes.
My main quibble was something that I had a hard time with when they had the fights going on. They're juking back and forth on the fights. I will say I was not a fan of their transitions. I like the wipes, but they were done really awkwardly. I felt it was like really quick wipes. Like Star Wars does a good wipe, but it's usually a slow wipe between stuff. When the action sequences are going on, it was like almost mid lightsaber stroke. It would like be wiping up to the next thing. I'm kind of like, it's okay to stay there for a bit. You could say this is a 30-minute episode, guys. You could push it up a little bit, just stay there just a moment longer until you get a better point. Star Wars has always had multiple fights going on. We've always gotten back and forth, but George was always great at finding that moment where you could pause, where you could ship over to the next bit. And this one just kind of like cut off mid stroke almost half the time. I was kind of like, that was annoying the fuck out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. It did get me, but it's something I'm very much used to now with. I don't think it is a Disney thing. I don't think it's a Lucasfilm thing. I don't even think it's a was it Alex Garcia Lopez who directed this? I don't even think it's him. It's a modern thing with editing now of you have to quick. You don't give the fights time enough to breathe like they do in like a wuxia film or like a Chinese martial arts movie or like a Korean like the Raid, right? The fights, they'll let them play out and tell the story. A lot of more Western fight scenes are more like cut, quick cuts, get to the next point. And I think especially where we're limited down to 30 minutes, they're kind of like, okay, let's just put in the best moments and then move on.
Right. Absolutely. And I get that to a degree, but I don't like it.
I agree with you. I have a massive problem with it. I don't like the way that this modern version of cutting up fight scenes happens.
Very distracting. Wait, let it breathe. There are always these quote unquote pregnant pauses where you can actually find a proper time. Okay, let's shift over to see what Jackie and May are doing. Now, granted, Jackie and May fight was also very interesting, so it was a kind of a quick annoyance, not back in, but it did take me. I'm kind of like, where are we going? Oh, okay.
I told you she wasn't going to turn herself in.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. I gotta admit, like walking around, it's like I
she never had any intent of turning herself in.
That's definitely one way to read it for sure. Definitely one way to read it. That is a little bit of the quibble, though, the way like it's kind of like I don't like how that came. I don't love how that played out, because if it is as you say, it's not clear that that's what happened. Like it kind of like it almost feels more like that she just is a flip flopper. And that's the way it's presented. If it was supposed to be the way you're done, I like that, but I wish there was a way that they could have better presented that so that it's obviously that's what that meant, or even less, not even necessarily obvious, but more like there's no intent there at all. You don't see that intention unless you really put it in there.
I think that the ultimate crux of this show is time constraint, really, because I think her wanting to reunite with her sister is genuine. Right. I think where people are saying that this turnaround came too soon, I really don't agree, because if you go back and watch the flashback episode, she was trying everything she could to get her sister to stay.
Yeah.
So, of course, if she sees her sister's alive and she has this opportunity to be with her, just by her reactions of how she was as a child, of course, she's going to act quite rashly and quite erratically and want to be with Osha. So I think her intentions were there, but I really don't think she cared about the Jedi. I think like she was just like, I'm going to turn myself over to the Jedi. Cool. Like if that gets me closer to my sister, fine. I'll deal with the Jedi when I get to them. Just get me closer to my sister.
You know, I'm with you on that. I think you're right in terms of her seeing Osha alive definitely changes everything for her. Again, I just like it was the specificity of like I'm going to turn myself in, and then I'm not turning myself in. Like they kind of like really kind of like, okay, so you weren't going to, and that's fine, but a little clearness about the presentation would have been better for me.
She did almost just get killed like 500,000 times as well within the span of 30 minutes.
My other, if I can think of any, the other moment at the end. Okay, so we do the Parent Trap thing. It's funny we do that twice in 1 week. We have the twins like presenting to be the other one. House of the Dragon did it, and now we're doing it here.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, one of those, if I had 2 nickels, or if I had a nickel every time, I'd have 2 nickels, but it's still weird. But this was a little, this whole thing, it pushes that suspension of disbelief just a little bit for me. It's a little clunky the way it goes, and like the fact that like Soul doesn't really recognize necessarily. Like, Soul knows OSHA pretty well by now, and like can't read a little bit of the difference between OSHA and May. Granted, Soul just went through some trauma for sure. It's not in the right place, so I'm able to like accept it, and this is why I'm not saying like it's a game breaker or it's like making the episode whatever. But it was a little questionable at the end that he doesn't know that is OSHA, for example.
I think it won't. I don't think it would be long before he realizes that it is May. I do like that they did go with this route because Daphne Keane did an interview where she said that this is how the Sith. This is a show about how the Sith infiltrate the Jedi, and I was just like, cool, May's about to go, like, show up in the temple. But then I thought about it a bit more, and I was like, what if this is the moment where Sol and May kind of not reconcile, but like come to terms and agreement over what happened?
Yeah.
And that's how we find out what Sol did through talking to May, because obviously May knows a version of. And that's the thing. A lot of people are throwing out that they know that this is heavily influenced by Rashomon. I don't think most of these people have actually seen Rashomon because this episode was very much from Chimere's point of view. He was the sole focal point of this episode. So it's constantly switching. So I think the next episode we're going to get from May's point of view of what happened. And that's how we find out what Sol did and what he feels he needs to atone for.
Right.
But on the flip side, as soon as Chimera saw the tattoo on Osha's arm, he was like, gotta go have the other one.
Right.
I got the one I want.
Right. I mean, I don't mind the plot device of getting Sol and May together because I do like that. I think that's exactly what you say. I think it's going to be a great moment. I think, and Osha and Smiler Renan also could be a cool moment as well. Getting to see different sides of things. It's all about perspective, and it's all about how different people can view different things. It could be the same thing differently, I should say. And that is one of Leslie Headland's like main talking points throughout the show was going to be. It's just a weird kind of like way that like the Soul buy it. Now, if you tell me later on the Soul didn't buy it and just kind of went with it anyway, that's easier to believe. If you tell me Saul's like, now I'm calmed down. Now that I've calmed down, I can send something off. That'd be kind of cool too. It threw me just a smidge. That and the fact that lightsaber haircut, and now the perfect fucking haircut for.
I mean, if that's how like I can cut my hair perfectly, then
I'd love it. I'd love it.
I'm all for it, but
that's so logical. I'm not gonna bother me with that.
Getting so upset when people get stabbed with a lightsaber, they don't die. People cut their hair with lightsabers. Like, do you like these things or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we just throw away lightsabers as well, since people seem to have problems with them? But I feel like, because obviously May's head tattoo is still going to be there.
Nope.
You can't cover that up.
Right.
Trust me, I've had them removed. You cannot cover them up as easy as you think.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So I think it will come to a moment where Sol does realize, you're not OSHA. Yeah. And I feel like you touched on it already a little while ago. I think Basil's going to be the one to kind of, and it makes me fear for Basil, dude.
Yeah. Because if he's smart, he does it while Sol's around. Let's be honest, because if he does it when it's just him and May, I fear for Basil's life as well. Basil's definitely when he's got that sniffer, and he's definitely something wrong at this point. I think it's probably going to be the point where like it might not even be a sniffer thing. It might be a case where May doesn't recognize who Pip is, or somebody to that effect, because he's bringing Pip back to her, or Pip might say something. Pip like kind of like another. Yeah, I could see something like that potentially for sure. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we got here for this episode. I got on there, but I think we should talk about really briefly at least. Did you notice the Kylo Ren theme playing?
Not until you just mentioned it.
The end of the episode where Smiler Ren is bending down to Osha and whatever. All of a sudden, the refrain that da, 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 da.
You've just added fuel to something. I was talking. Shout out to Adam from Thank the Maker. Me and him were talking about this earlier. It's like when he said that he wanted a pupil, his voice started to crack, and he felt like he sounded desperate. And he was speaking to how, like, when he said, you Jedi, you might call me Sith.
Right.
Whereas he's not saying he's a Sith. He's just saying that's what the Jedi might call him.
Yeah.
And it added to his point of the Jedi say, I can't exist. Like, he feels like he's being constantly persecuted by the Jedi. He said it himself, the Jedi make the rules.
Right.
He feels like he's being persecuted just for being who he is. And he said, I want a pupil, I want an acolyte. And I think it's very much Kylo of he doesn't want to be alone anymore. He wants to have someone who is like-minded and he can share his experience. And this isn't like a redemption arc in any way. It just shows his motivations of like, this order has constantly persecuted me because of how I am. I didn't choose to be like this. I was born like this. No one was around to teach me that this is the wrong way. This is the only way I've ever known. And this order, who is so revered and respected, are telling everyone that what I am is essentially a monster.
Yeah.
And dude, you saying the Kylo theme, yeah, that, because that's what Kylo wanted. Kylo just wanted to be, as young when he was Ben, he just wanted to be accepted for what he was. He didn't want to be in Luke's shadow. He just wanted to be accepted.
Absolutely. I would also throw out there, though, and this might be veering into our Force vision, but I'll say it here first because it definitely works with it. Is this an indication that he's not a Sith, but perhaps he is part of the Knights of Ren or an original Knight of Ren? Or something to that effect. That's why the Ren theme played. I mean, it's not just the Kylo Ren theme, it's the actual Ren theme that's playing.
Maybe.
I just thought, a thought process. I don't know. Like,
I was going
that way.
I was thinking more, and I can say this because this isn't my Force vision. I had a moment when he said to Saul, he's just like, "You don't remember me." I thought, are we gonna get are they
siblings?
brothers?
Yeah.
Are they?
That was
not twins, because obviously Kamir is considerably younger.
Right.
But
he left when he was 4.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Are they the two? There's the constant of the two, right? Are they brothers?
Right. Possibly. I that was one of my Force vision possibilities. I have a lot of Force visions I'm going to throw out there. That is one I definitely
don't do the "I'm your father" thing though.
No. Definitely. I don't think he. Well, I mean, they shouldn't, but I'm saying I don't think age-wise it works. I think brothers would work out better.
I don't think they're bold enough. They're bold. They got real bold with this episode, but I don't think they're bold enough to go there.
To try that, yeah. It would make sense if they were kind of related though before or something to that effect. That would be kind of cool to see. If they were brothers, I wouldn't mind that at all. It would definitely add to the mystery of it for sure.
Little brother losing his older brother to the Jedi, and again, that'll show like Saul wasn't around for him growing up. He wasn't there to be with him and be the big brother and nurture his abilities and help him through it. Like maybe the Jedi chose Saul over him.
Yeah, absolutely. What else we got here? Real quick, I do have the video playing in the background as I always do. It's not Sabak those guys are playing, it's something else, but they are playing some kind of game. I'm not sure. It's some kind of
okay, I thought it was Sabak.
It looks like it's a precursor to the video chess game. It looks like it's a physical version of the.
Okay. So they are literally just playing chess.
Looks like, but yeah, with the different creatures or whatever, that's what it looks like to me. But
I did have one tiny little nitpick.
Go ahead, yeah, throw it out there. Let's do it.
The conversation between May and Osha.
Okay.
Did we really need to cut to another location?
Probably not.
Or was that them just showing off the Brecon Beacons in Wales where they filmed it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what it was at this point.
Because it did kind of, for a split second, it did kind of take me out of the moment of they start to have this deep conversation. And then, as you mentioned with the wipes, they do it at a very weird time in this episode.
Yeah.
And then there's this sunny open clearing as the sun starts to rise. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's a beautiful location. It's a beautiful shot. But like, do we need it right now?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. That was
It's a very slight nitpicky thing.
Right. I mean, that was their
Like-
first real moment together, their first reuniting, obviously, besides when they're firing at each other or whatever. But yeah, it felt like it was a lot of like setup there as well. Like, in terms of like, there's been a lot of setup, and it's like, I'm ready for some answers now with that. You know, that
Yeah.
nice letting it pick up the situation too. It's like, all right, we know something. All right, we know something happened. We know it's not exactly what we saw. Okay, we already know. We don't need to let that out anymore. We know that. Let's see what that is, or get at least a little more. Give us a hint into it instead of kind of dancing around so much with it. Give us something. Not the whole. You don't have to have the whole chorus, but give us something. I did touch base on that a little bit with like, obviously it looks like she's implying that she didn't start the fire, maybe because she said something about starting the fire, and
Start the fire.
exactly. And then May's response was pretty much, "You brainwashed. Like I didn't. You have no idea what you're talking about," kind of thing. So maybe something like that. But I agree. It was a little strange for me as well.
And it was when we got into the moment between the two of them, it was a beautiful moment. And then you have May, who says she's begging. Oh, she's like, choose me. Like, I love you. You are my sister. Like, they took. Can't you see that the reason I'm doing this is because they took you from me. They took you from our family. Look what they did to our family. Like, her intentions are genuine. She has good intentions. Just the way she's going about it.
She has. I wouldn't say she has good desires or good. She wants something that's a good thing, but the way she's doing it is definitively evil. It's the other way around. She murdered 2 Jedi. It's hard to say otherwise. But yeah, I get it.
When Osha said that those Jedi were more family to her than she ever was, I was like, but you didn't even know them. You knew Yord. You knew Sol. You didn't know Jackie until like you left for the mission.
Yeah.
You didn't know any of the red shirt Jedi. Like,
that is a criticism I have heard from some people in terms of like, one that I kind of like, I get that. Like, we could have used some more time with all of them here, or maybe some more back with, so that they have that relationship. Because it's kind of like you're supposed to feel these great, like, powerful moment of death and everything else. We can only kind of look at the visual side of things and we had some time with Yord and Jackie, so they weren't just shirtless Jedi, but we could have used more, I guess is what the thing is, and more potential with them.
Yeah, I didn't even really mean that is a fair point. There wasn't what I guess what I was kind of meaning was like May is trying so hard to get Osha to see what she's like, her desires, like that she has these best intentions, that she just wants to reunite with her sister.
Right.
And for Osha to just turn around and say they're more like family to me than you were, and you didn't even know them, it makes you more sympathetic to May than Osha, because you're just kind of like, Osha, at this point you're just being a kind of a petulant fucking child.
Yeah. You know what? Let me back you up on that, actually, because I will say it did almost like a flip. Because episode 3, the flashback episode, you're really on Osha's side. She's just a young kid who wants to see the world, the galaxy, wants to join the Jedi. And May is a very selfish, like, I want you to be with me, so you're going to stay with me no matter what you want. I don't care what you want. We are flipped now, and here we are moving forward, and Osha May becomes a little bit more of, despite her murderous stuff going on, she does become more like, oh, you see it. She really just, it's less about keeping her, more about wanting to stay with her sister or bond with her sister, who she thought was dead. And then Osha is so hell bent on, just no, you're under arrest. This is what you did. You have to pay for your crimes. And it's like, okay, all right, is that really the way it went down? Obviously, there's stuff that we're missing still, and that's where we're gonna have to fill in those gaps for sure. But let's see, any other cool moments? Let's talk about the reveal. The reveal of Khmer, obviously, because I mean, this was like, at this point when it went down, it was probably the least kept guard secret. Like everybody had pretty much guessed that Khmer was behind the mask at that point. I mean, we always throw out some alternatives because that's our job. But at the end of the day, if we had put money down, we would all put money down on Khmer for sure. And sure enough, it was there. Does that take away from the actual reveal for you, or was the reveal badass enough that you were like sick?
No, it didn't take away anything from me, because like we knew that he was gonna be. We knew he was gonna be Smiler Ren.
Yeah,
but we didn't know that he was gonna be that powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now everyone's saying, "Oh, how can he be that powerful and not be sent?" Palpatine's the most powerful Sith of all time, and they didn't. And he was right there under their nose their entire time, and they didn't notice. You know, the dark side clouds everything.
They didn't. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon didn't notice Darth Maul behind a door. When the door opened the other day, they didn't know he was there.
And like I've not. And this is where I'm going to get kind of thirstish. Manny Jacinto did an incredible job of hiding his physique. I I've only watched a few episodes of The Good Place. I've never, like, until today, I've never gone down a rabbit hole of Manny Jacinto's physique. But like, he just looked like that. He played the part of like that bumbling, kind of wretched, like almost kind of like a worm tongue from Lord of the Rings kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Then he throws off the cloak, and suddenly you just got this shredded, like bro. Let me tell you, no amount of airbrushing in the world is needed for the vascularity in that man's arms. Like the veins were popping out of his fucking biceps. I was very jealous. I am very jealous over that man's arms. But it's just like this. We knew it was going to be him, but like, I didn't know how physically imposing he would be, and that was a shock to me. Just seeing like his presence and him just dismantling all these Jedi, and just how physically imposing of a character he was it added to the shock for me. I was like, okay, I knew he was going to be the bad guy, but I didn't know he was going to be I didn't know he was going to be this.
Right.
Because I still do think he's kind of a fanatic about the Sith.
Yeah.
But he's not a fanboy by any fucking means. He's the real deal, dude. This dude is the real deal.
He really is. He really is the real deal. I can't say that otherwise. Man. Well, I agree.
Did it ruin it for you?
I was about to say, I agree. It did not ruin it for me. I mean, I knew it was happening. It was like I was kind of like a dumb moment, but still a way. Like if he drops Checky, and we see the Checky bowling ball, the 3 holes at the back, and then she goes down.
This son of a bitch. That's a child.
What can I say?
Bowling ball, for fuck's sake.
He turned her into a bowling ball. That's what he did. Then as like she drops and you have the 2 sabers, and there you see his face with the hair like coming over it. Badass moment. Like, yeah, all right. That was my first thought. But I had a moment, but I also was like, that's fucking badass though. That's fucking badass. He looked
so cool.
And then he amped it up with everything else afterwards. That's what made it best. Is like exactly what you said. You showed how powerful he was. He was like, I mean, he was already powerful enough at that point anyway. We saw how powerful he was, but it just kind of kept going and going and going. The point where, like, at the end when he gets like attacked by the moths or whatever, you're like, wow, okay. And then that's not going to take him out. You knew that wasn't going to take him out, even though it could have taken out a lot of people. But at the end, he comes down. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. He just slice and dice is able to find his way back down. So it did not ruin it for me. It was predictable, so I'm kind of hoping there is some surprise left for us as far as that goes.
Yeah, there is. We got what, 3 episodes left?
Yeah, which is what
I would say with the moths. I wish we got more.
Yeah, me too.
I wish we got like a whole, like, not a flock, but like the whole damn swarm. Yeah, a whole swarm, like the whole damn forest. Because you had her running through with Pip, yours running with his lightsaber. It was like, if they just amassed like an entire swarm of these moths, how cool would that look? Just like all of them swarming in on Camille. Because I think that's a lot of what people were thinking, of like, oh, he's not going to get taken out by a couple moths, is he? If it had been like a whole swarm just descending on him, and then he did like that force push out like he did to the Jedi and just destroyed all of them, I think that would have been a really cool moment. But I'm not the director. I'm not the choreographer. It was still cool to me. I thought the way they carried him up was kind of very Mary Poppins-esque. They just carried him like directly up.
Right.
Yeah, they look cool though.
Yeah,
I want to see
do that.
more of those. What are they called? Umbra moths.
Umbra moths, yeah, Umbra moths. I like that.
I want to see more
Like
of them.
Umbara and moth together, as I felt like. But you know what? That does bring up another nitpick I had. I gotta be honest with the quibble. Like the one part I was just really not excited about the Yord and Yord OSHA storyline part of it. Was like kind of like I liked the beginning when Soul's like, you know, citizen to the ship or whatever, and civilian to the ship, and Yord's like, yes, civilian to the ship. And that was kind of funny and kind of fun. Like, okay, Yord's going to do what of course, Yord's going to do what he's told. Soul is the master Jedi there. He's going to do what he's told. But it was like, I didn't need to stop like every 3 minutes, seems like every 3 scenes where we get stopped. Maybe like, we have to go back. Or it's like, no, we can't. I was ordered. Okay. Then move forward a little more. We got to go back. He's going to kill everybody. No, she's a Jedi. She'll handle herself. We're good. I was ordered. Go. And again, he comes back. We got to go back. Okay. Just like,
I get what you think that, and I think again it's come down to like time constraint. Because I think if you would have had more time, I feel like we would have been able to flesh out that turn a little bit more. Because it was kind of like when Dwight becomes friends with Jim in the office. It's kind of like he just drops the act,
right?
And he's just like, yeah, you're right. We got to go help. It's the right thing to, because he has that moment where he's like. He doesn't obey the rules of combat. Like it's like he stays in your mind, and she's like, my mom did that. And I feel like
interesting
in that moment, Yord's like he's questioning everything. Like he's again, like they haven't had to fight a war or anything in hundreds of years. Yord's he's probably never had a fight in his life outside of the temple training room.
Right.
So now he's being faced with his own mortality, and not only that, but the people that were in his charge, he's being faced with that.
Right.
So now the gravity of the situation has hit him so hard that he's like, oh shit, like everything I was taught is for essentially for nothing at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably gonna die.
Right. You know,
So,
and I get that, and I agree with you to a degree. I wish it was presented better that way. Maybe that's a time constraint thing, like you said. It might be a performance thing too. I'm not going to like shout out. I don't want to like decry Charlie Burnham's performance in that, but I just didn't buy it. It came across as very, no, we can't. No, we can't. No, we can't. Okay, let's do it. It's like, okay, well, that's what we need to do. We just need to get you away for a bit, and then need you to come back. It just, again, not the end of the world. As far as this episode goes, it's really forgettable because everything else about it was so cool. But I had to throw it out there. One more Yord insult before since he's done for the world now.
I do really feel like it was a time. I do feel like it was a time constriction thing.
Right.
Because I do feel that was like they're like, okay, let's like cram the end of Yord's character arc in as much as we can because we know we're about to kill him in the most gruesome fucking way. And I think that probably could have like made it more tragic. Like if we'd have got to the point where we were like, fuck yeah, Yord, get him, Yord, and then watch him get his neck snapped.
Right.
We would have been like,
I mean, I was excited to see him come back, and I thought that was a great moment where he grabs the helmet and everything else. It was kind of cool. You had some great moments in there. But as always, at the end of the day, he's just a pain in the neck.
I hate you.
I know you do. I know.
Because that damn it. Trying to think, is there anything else that we need to talk about?
I'll briefly, before we get into First Vision, I just want to touch base on just what a great job they did with the choreography, especially Soul versus Smiler when they're versus Manning. Wonderful work. I have to watch it a couple more times. I know I missed some, like moving very fast and everything else. Some great like hand motions, some great blocks, some great shifts, some non-saber stuff, which was kind of cool too. Yeah, there's a lot of cool, like, oh shit, that's nice. Ooh, that's a good, nice. And I'm not even a martial artist guy, so I don't know what I'm missing. But I see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They did a good job, a very good job with that.
I've often talked about, I can't believe I haven't even talked about this on the show yet. We've been going for nearly an hour and I haven't even brought this up. Because I'm so interested in the character moments as well, but like some of that, I despise. I cannot stand that whirly twirly, nonsensical bullshit that people spout. Like get off Nick Gillard's dick, dude. Like, he's not the be all end all of choreography. Like, yes, that stuff looks cool. The Obiani spin looks cool.
It was perfect for that fight.
Give me what we got here of like, they are trying to kill each other.
Right.
The intent was there. Like, every strike Kamir threw was vicious, had vicious intent behind it. Even Jackie was just like, right, I'm not gonna go out like this. I'm not gonna die. Like, I'm gonna take you out with me at least.
Right.
Even Soul, like some of the hand to hand moments, he had his like cool like Tai Chi Kung Fu blocking. But then he just resorted to, you know what, fuck this, threw his saber down and just started punching Kamir in the face.
Yeah.
And it was just visceral and it was violent. And it just goes to what I say, like, you don't need the twirly whirly dance. Like, yes, it can look cool, but it's not practical. And I saw one dude saying, he was like, oh, if it's 7-on-1, you're not gonna, leave any openings. It's like, if me and Paul were in a fight, say we're in a bar fight, you and me against one other dude, I throw a punch, he ducks it, and I crack you on the jaw.
I'm out.
You're out. I'm fighting this dude on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Now I put a lightsaber in someone's hand.
Yeah.
And have them swing, the dude miss, and you end up hitting your friend.
Yeah. A lot different at that point, huh?
Like, it's got to be crafted so well, and you can't do that with spinning it around your head and spinning it behind your back. No, you have to think about every little movement that comes in. It's just like, oh, why didn't you go for his legs? Can you just step back?
Right.
Because there's the space there, so he can just step back.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Then I just love that they actually put like thought into the emotion and the intent behind the fighting. It wasn't just twirly whirly spinny, yay, look at me. Like, Kamir was trying to kill them.
Yeah.
And
100%.
It wasn't like they were defending. They knew that they had to kill him.
So
it was they went to their last resort, and we saw how desperate Saul got to the point where he was trying to kill Kamir.
Absolutely was.
Dude, oh, it's beautiful.
No power stuff. I love the Soul when the lightsaber came out like across the trees at OSHA, and Soul came out of nowhere and knocked the lightsaber back like a baseball bat, which is awesome.
I thought that was going to be Yord.
I did too.
I thought Yord was going to step in, and we're going to be like, here we go. Yord's going to come to the rescue.
But yeah, no, that was great, and last bit I'll do before I go to the Force Vision. I just want to throw out, as a horror loving junkie that I am, I loved the influence that they had on Smiler Ren, like Darth Teeth there, the whole thing, like just the way he had his head, his movement, like you said, he had the very horror villain neck turn, like slow or sometimes just very sharp.
He's Michael Myers, bro.
Michael Myers, exactly. Michael Myers, Jason, all those kind of like inspirations worked very, very well. Very, very well. So nice indeed, my friend. Very cool. Very cool. I guess that's it. Unless you have anything further, we can go to the Force Vision.
I am very thirsty for Manny Jacinto's arms and his jawline. Because we're going to move on to Force Vision, so I'm just going to like get all my thirst out now. His jawline could cut marble. It is insane. Like, bless that man's parents for his genetics. That is what peak male performance looks like, my friends.
Peak male performance, I like that. That's true. That's very true. It's very true indeed. So not much else to say about that. Let's move on to our final segment. Well, let's do parsecs first. I always forget parsecs.
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Less than 12 parsecs is 11, because we always scale things on 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects. Matty, out of 11, what do you rank this episode?
This is 9.5.
9.5, okay.
9.5, because I know I'm trying to temper my expectations, because I know we still got a ways to go. So I don't want to give this an 11 and then possibly like there be an episode that I love way more.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Temper my expectations. I'm going to give this a 9.5.
All right. That sounds good to me. I am also likewise giving it a 9.5. I think I might sign up and give it a 10. I had that much fun with this one. The
Mm.
choreography was that good, and I think that this might end up being that episode for me, much like the Anakin episode in Ahsoka was that episode, much like the Mandalorian episode in Boba Fett was that episode. This is gonna be that episode I want to revisit a lot because it's a lot of fun just visually to watch over and over again. So I'll give this one a solid 10. Who knows what's gonna happen next couple weeks though? That's for sure. But speaking of that,
Premonitions?
let's get into our Force Visions predicting the next couple of weeks as we go on. Matty, you go first. Tell me some of your Force Visions for the future.
My force prediction. I'm trying to figure out how to word this without sounding like a crazy person. I don't think so. I don't think Kamir is a Sith. The way he worded it was, you Jedi, you might call me Sith. Like he was saying, you Jedi would call what I am Sith, but he said I have no name. So I don't think he's a Sith. Alarm bells did ring in my head though. I don't know if you ever read Did you read the Dr. Aphra comics at all?
I did. I haven't caught a lot of the recent ones, but towards the beginning I did.
Do you remember? There was a run where Aphra dealt with a cult called the Ascendant.
Yes, I do.
Who were like a dark side cult that were like obsessed with different technologies. And like the Jedi would like see as like dark side technology as opposed to like dark side magic.
Right.
That kind of propped up in my head because I was thinking the ceremony that they conducted was called the Ascension. So are we going to find out the name of this witch coven is the Ascendant?
Maybe.
And that the twins were created using these technologies.
That would be interesting because I mean, like it's always because I forget the exact line of the dialogue. I mean, it's all implied by or perceived by us as like they use dark side magic and the dark side of the Force and everything else. And I don't remember what the exact lines of dialogue were. I'll have to go back and listen to the exact lines of dialogue. Because I mean, if I remember correctly, O'Connor said if they knew how you did it, maybe it's in terms of like technology that they wouldn't use for whatever reason, or the fact that it's like maybe they wouldn't like false life or whatever. Maybe perhaps it's a good question. Maybe it is something more technologically based. That would make sense for a lot of reasons.
If I remember correctly from that comic, like the technologies they were using were like considered even too dark for the Sith.
Right.
So if it, that kind of fits in with like if the Jedi knew how you were creating them,
right?
Like if it's really that bad,
yeah,
I don't know. Just something to think about.
It's absolutely possible. It's absolutely possible. I like where their head's at. That's very cool. Very cool. All right, for me, a couple of different things I had in mind. I agree 100%. Now I'm looking into your theory of him not being a Sith as well. I feel like we're going to end this whole thing. Everybody's pretty much going to die, except for maybe Manny at the end. And then at the very end, we're going to see the real Sith Lord come in and take care of business and wave him out for being a pretender to the throne, and hopefully get a short like Darth Sidious versus Maul and Savage in Clone Wars kind of fight, maybe where he just like wipes the floor with Management or whoever it is. I don't know, man. It just sounds like a lot of cool things there going on for that potentially. I love that aspect of it. Now, what does that mean for Soul and for the twins? Because that's really who's left at this point. We also have not seen Vernestra's light whip yet, so we know she's going to get in some action at some point. So that's another interesting piece of the puzzle we have to look forward to. Or is she involved? Or is she involved in the flashback? Possibly. I don't know. I don't really know. So that's an interesting thing to think about for sure. But at the end of the day, I think you're right. I want that to happen. If it doesn't happen, whatever. But that would be my perfect ending. Is that like
the Sith comes in
and like just takes care of the business and goes peace out. I think Saul almost has to die now. I didn't think he had to before. I almost think he does. Or he gets his mind wiped, potentially. I can see that happening. Or does he make the decision? I actually talked about this with my son. What if at the end of the day, Saul decides to leave the Jedi Order with Osha? Like, they kind of form their own splinter order. Like, you know what? I made mistakes. I need almost like a Barrage vow. Like
I was gonna say maybe he goes and takes the Barrage vow.
Maybe he takes a Barrage vow with Osha to a degree. Like maybe like it's like a variation of it where they go off together and say, you know what? I am not a Jedi right now. I need to find a connection to the Force. And they go off and they form their own little Force group, because that's what the whole thing's been about, right? Finding different creature, different ways to tangle with the Force that aren't necessarily a Jedi. Wouldn't it be interesting in lore breaking, and not breaking, it's a bad word, I guess, in this day and age, but lore making, lore expansion, where we get Osha and Saul out there doing their own Force thing, their own kind of group of people. Maybe they even like, not they would necessarily at first bring people in, but eventually maybe they could have their own version of stuff going on.
I love your optimism. But we just watched a child get stabbed through the chest 3 times.
That's fair.
That I don't think they're going to be afraid to take Saul from us.
No, I don't think it's afraid. I just think it's the idea of they want to leave. I mean, I guess you could say the story was already written. Maybe they wouldn't be able to, because I think they probably would regret it now. It's like they almost want to like have future stories of them in a way. Like it'd be cool to have future stories of them, because he's so resonant with everybody at this point.
I just had a really tragic thought.
Oh, what's that?
What if Saul survives but Osha doesn't?
I thought that might be the case too. That's thrown me for in there as well.
And Saul has to live with it.
Mm-hmm. So sad.
Oh God, I hope I'm wrong. I was wrong about the Bad Batch all dying, so I hope I'm wrong about this too.
Me too.
But yes, my prediction about the Sith finding out what Khmer is doing, I think they're gonna clock on and be like, "Hey, fucking knock it off."
Yeah,
We'll let you be an acolyte if you want to be an acolyte, but
fuck off.
I don't think that'll happen. I just think they'll just gut him right through.
Yeah, could be.
Tenebrous.
Yeah, maybe indeed. All right, I think that'll do it for us this week. Unless you have anything further to go on, my friend. All righty then. Where can the folks find you?
You can find me, all my socials down below, right there, and in the description. If audio listeners, it'll be in the description of this podcast. Subscribe to the Holy Snokes podcast feed as well. I know we got that go up and running, so shout out to Paul for getting that done. And none of our podcast listeners are really fans of my music, so we're nothing really to talk about with the show. But if you are in London tomorrow, New Cross Inn, come on down. Poison the Well can be a great show. Other than that, yeah, I'm good.
Who else is playing with Poison the Well?
I can't remember the full set, but yeah, I can't remember the full bill.
But say who's really playing the show. It's you who are playing the show. That's the important thing.
I am filling in.
That's right, and that's awesome. All right, my friend. At Paul _ News, you on Twitter. You can find me all over this channel, obviously, every week. Every other week, I do a review with Lego. We talk about the V franchise. Every week, obviously, we do Holy Snokes. Every week, we do a Queen podcast called Crown Jewels. It's just myself. This is our YouTube channel, but also on the main audio feeds as well. This week, I'm taking a break this week. Next week, we're going to get into the game album. We're into the 1980s sound now. The Queen sound changed a little bit, but still has quite a thunderous sound overall. And of course, every week, the Doctor Who show, Big Blue Box, the PLD and PJ and PLD. It is now over for now, as the Doctor Who season has ended. We will be back for the Christmas special, and I have a feeling we'll be back a few times for special episodes between now and then. But that does mean starting in August, after a little brief hiatus in July, we're going to bring back 2 Media for White Dudes on Film. John Wick and Nightmare on Elm Street franchise should be a lot of fun there. And I think that's it. We do have another show coming up that we'll talk about soon. We're going to record that soon as well. That should be a lot of fun, and we'll get there. But I'll announce that when it's a little closer to the date. And I think that's it. Yeah, patreon.com. Like Jeff, Jeff Altman's there. You got Brendan Buckingham. You got Austin Goodell. Great people. If you can't If you can't support Patreon, though, I get it. Just like, subscribe, comment, help us fight that almighty algorithm. Get us in there. We're a positive Star Wars podcast. We like to promote positivity, and we need a little more of that out there. So let's help that along. Otherwise,
hopefully we put out enough criticisms of this show for people in the YouTube comments to not call us shills and not think we're attacking people for having dissenting opinions.
I don't care if I do. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you next time, my friend. Bye now.
May the Force be with you always.